Well, what did I think of this one? Honestly, it was probably a little better than Scary Movie 4, which I owned, but is it something I'm gonna buy? Probably not. Someone hand me Disaster Movie. I want to watch that again. That one was funny. This movie had its funny moments, true, but it wasn't that well constructed, to be honest. So let's see. You got an introduction with Lindsay Lohan in it, or a would-be Lindsay Lohan, and it was kind of laugh out loud funny, but it was more of a dance and sex scene instead of a normal sex scene. But they chose weird music to go along with it. It's a weird movie. The other thing is, it starts out with a narrator, and this was, I believe, new to Scary Movie, a narrator. I could be wrong. I don't know what else to say. I watched the last couple of them. Anyway, in this so-called sex scene, we've got clowns entering into the bed with them, munchkins, some cats, and all in his bed. And you can't tell because they disappear as soon as they enter the bed. So as I said, weird music. Now, the next scene are two guys, and they're in woods that seem exactly like they're taken out of Twilight. So I was just waiting for Bella, Edward, or Jacob to show up. If you're waiting for them, don't, because they're not in this movie. I was actually disappointed by how many movies were excluded from this scary movie. I mean, there were some references, but not much at all. Honestly, I was disappointed. Like, if you're going to see if Avatar appears in this movie, it doesn't. The only movie that I gave a great rating that appeared in this movie was Inception, and that was only in there for a matter of seconds. Well, let's continue on. Zero Dark 30, there is a reference made to that and Cabin in the Woods. We'll talk about Cabin in the Woods some more in the spoiler. Now, the when the two people in the second scene, the two men come upon this cabin in the woods, they each have guns and they keep this is the first real funny scene in the movie. They keep pulling the guns out of their pockets and dropping them, and then they always have another gun until finally they pull out the last guns and drop those guns because they're scared that that the other person's gonna hurt them somehow. It's a comedy would expect. Speaking of comedy, the comedy in this movie is very raunchy, very crude humor. It's not for kids by any means. There's some sex humor. There are jokes that only adults would get. Crude, as I said. Did I write anything else about it? Not really. There's another word to describe it that's slipping my mind. But crude pretty much describes it. So anyway, then we've got this girl and this boy who the movie is really going to focus on now. The ball gets rolling with Planet of the Apes. Yeah, that's going to be in here, and that's actually going to play. That's going to play in a bunch. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I should mention. And the boy from that would be played by James Franco is actually played by someone else, obviously, and he has a wife and he adopts two kids in this movie, and they're going to come into play with a haunted house as which is the main focus of the movie. So you've got night one, which not really anything happens. You've got the new family, the husband, the wife, the two kids, and Caesar is still in the... And his name is Caesar in this. The smart ape is still at the lab. But after night 2, things finally get funny again. For the second time in the movie, things were funny where I was laughing. Of course, there's something else in this movie, and that's Jodie, which is the wife of, well, the main character, is chosen to be the Black Swan in Swan Lake, out over someone who has been doing it for years and years, and over a friend that she has acquainted named Kendra, who Kendra's going to be her understudy now. I thought maybe that Kendra would be the one who was doing all this stuff, and then it would turn into kind of mystery. It doesn't. Trust me there. Now, the third night in a row, we've got this bathroom scene, and that was funny, and then it actually skips on after that scene to night 4. And night 4 was where the ball got rolling again. It starts funny again, but it's still not all put together. So I mentioned an announcer in this, and he's really funny because, like, at one point, a tree covers the car in a shot, and he says, the car was, oh, wait, where did the car go? The only scary movie or epic movie or disaster movie could do that. I think superhero movie did have an announcer, now that I think about it. And there was that typical low-voiced announcer. I'll reveal who the announcer was at the end because it was one of the main characters. Maybe not main. It was one of the characters. One of the main or supporting characters. So anyway, they go seeking a psychic. This is not where Inception comes into play yet. They get this psychic who ultimately robs them blind. I mean, I don't have the whole list here, but if you look at the... Well, I'll be placing them as keywords under the description to this video. All the actors' names that are in this, but I mean, like Bow Wow is in this. I don't want to say Lil Wayne. Someone else. They're just a whole bunch of people are in this movie. So let's see here. Where are we now? They've just been robbed by the psychic, and that scene there was lacking and too short. Now, the next funny thing that happens is there's actually a party at the pool, and it's not for humans. It's, if you've ever seen those pool vacuums that you, like, crawl the pool on their own, well, it's that. Hundreds of pool vacuums going all around. Let's see. The children, when they're adopted, I forgot to mention, they act a lot like Gollum from The Hobbit. So, despite being in a very new movie, The Hobbit was somehow worked into this. Let me gather my thoughts for a second. So there's the pool vacuum party. And we're into the point where the family is figuring it out that it's a demon. So there's a girl in this named Maria, and there's a fight scene between her and the other main character, the husband of Jodie. And it's funny. It's fast-forwarded, a fight scene. And, I mean, it may seem like I'm going into spoilers here, but I'm really not, because you gotta see the movie to see how funny it is. And really, you can't really spoil a movie like this. Maybe you can, but it's hard. In any case, there's a Channel 12 bit in this movie that's really funny. I won't tell you how that goes. It's laugh out loud funny. And then finally, here comes Inception. I really wanted the Inception part to be good, And it starts out good, but unfortunately it's too short, and it doesn't end well. Now, the ape was funny, and this is where Rise of the Planet of the Apes comes back into play with Caesar, and it really gets funny, and they take the ape home. So now we're on night 6, by the way. It's odd, really odd. The two girls are having sex together. It's a lesbian thing. So, was it a dream, though? And the answer was yes. And when I say the two girls, I mean Jody and Kendra. But the installed security system that the husband installed shows that she was actually having sex with a potted plant. Then, after she confronts Kendra about it, Kendra says, you know, it just may have been me, and I may have switched out the tape. She's like, well, I don't know exactly. That was where it kind of got confusing. So there's not much left to this movie now. I know this is a long review, but, well, it was a very detailed movie. A movie like this, there are just so many details. Now, as I said, was it a dream? No, yes, too confusing. Okay, so here we go. And this is probably where you'll want to turn it off if you really don't want any spoilers. There isn't that much to say past that point. But we'll go in about how the movie concludes. The cabin in the woods, they return to the cabin in the woods, and it's very funny because there are 4 kids there now who are like trying to, you know, detox themselves from drugs. First, I forgot well, I'll go back to that in a second. And when they're in this cabin, they keep saying these 4 magic words that keep turning the kids upstairs who have been detoxed back into disastrous demons. And then they say one word, and the kids transform back into their normal selves. And they're like, oh, what happened to us? And then they say the 4 words again, and the kids upstairs are demons again. And then they say the cure word again, and the kids are all back like, why does this keep happening to us? And then they say the 4 words one last time, and leave them demons because they go and they have no clue what's happening upstairs. It was actually pretty funny. Another good moment in the movie. Now, when they get back, what happens is you've got the baby floating in midair, and the parents don't even realize this. They don't even realize that Caesar is who they have at the house now, trying to save all their lives, trying to save the baby, save the kids, protect the parents, and yet all they see is the end of it all, where they got to go gorilla holding the baby, and I forget what the stance is exactly, but it looks like he's about to like throw him somewhere. And so they ultimately end up send him back to the lab. And what makes this scene really funny is it ends with them watching the videotape like, I can't believe you did this, this, and this. And every time it shows him fighting the demon, they've turned around and they're looking away from the camera like this. They're looking away from the screen and they're not seeing him fighting the baby. Fighting the demons. So that ghost scene was pretty cool. The ghost appears at long last, and not as a ghost, the demon, ghost, whatever you want to call it, is in a black robe and finally appears for an extended period of time. So, I don't get a couple of things in this movie. Maria, is she in love or not? And if so, with who? The movie ultimately ended at the cliff that they see in the dreams a little earlier in the movie. And one of the kids, who doesn't really act like Gollum from Hobbit, she acts more like a dog, is actually a better description. And ultimately she decides to go with Jodie, not her mother, who is the demon. Spoiler there. Anyway, it really ends that way, with the mother going over the cliff a second time, and the two kids are with Jodie now, and it ends at the production of Jodie dancing in Swan Lake, and the revelation that the narrator through this whole thing was none other than Caesar. I guess he's out of the lab again, and he says something along the lines of, "Enjoy it while you can. You humans aren't going to be in control of the planet at the rate you're going. Pretty soon us apes are going to take it over," or something along that lines. And I was like, well, Planet of the Apes can't be wrong. No, I don't mean it. I don't mean it that way. All in all, it was a funny movie, but as I said, it needed development, which is why I'm only giving it a 6. The acting was actually pretty good. I do have to say that. That's why it's not getting a 5. I also asked a couple of people outside the theater, and it was out of 10 how much they would give it, and generally a 6 was actually the answer, and that's what I was thinking. So 6 out of 11 for me. And well, we've got a bunch of movies coming up. I'm going to do a preview review for a bunch of them. I'm going to end this review for now, and scary movie, see you once, but that's it.